What goes into the application process?
Sure. So what happens is when we get online and we have the MBOSS account, we go to the New Jersey Division of Pensions website, and we log in through their MBOSS account. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is there's a series of questions that we have to go through in order to allow the program to go to the next page, which is also part of the application. Mm-hmm. So, you'll need basic information, contact information, Social Security Social Security number information, mm-hmm. And you run through those primary questions. Somebody will have to know, for example, if they want to provide dependency benefits, whoever they want to provide the dependency. So if they were to die, there's still money to go to a dependent. Mm-hmm. They're going to need to know. That person's date of birth, Social Security number, all of the sort of the common information in terms of how to get through the application process. Exactly right. Because as part of the application, not only do you have to indicate why you are disabled specifically mm-hmm. from the job that you've been doing. So, for example, if I'm a police officer, why it is that I can't go back and be a police mm-hmm. officer. And you specifically have to indicate that. But you also then have to provide the additional information, which is, like I said, the dependency is part of your disability pension. You're entitled to a life insurance, so you have to be able to have all of that sort of financial decisions made out before you commence the process. The most important thing that needs to be recognized is that if you want to retire, for example, on March 1st, 2014, you must complete the application the day before. Putting in an application on March 1st will not allow you to use March 1st as your date of retirement.
I see.
You would then have to use April 1st as your date of retirement, and so you'd miss 30 days, you'd miss basically a month's worth mm-hmm. of benefits.
You can't do it in between. In other words, it's the first of each month.
Correct. Pension benefits will start the first of every single month. So what's important is to make sure that whatever month you decide that you want to retire, you're getting in your application prior to the first of that particular month.
Okay. Sam, what happens once the application is complete?
Okay. So once the application has been completed online, you get a confirming email basically saying that the process has been complete. But that's just sort of the first step. Because what then happens and what's necessary is now you have to provide pensions a package of information which they need in order to now move your pension application forward. So specifically, I said earlier that you need the 2 medical reports, so that's the first thing. Mm-hmm. What you also want to do, and what we do, in our office, what we'll do is we will then make sure we get a complete copy of the medical records, not only the 2 reports, but the medical records that will support those 2 particular reports. So we'll order hospital records, or we'll order diagnostic tests, MRIs, things of that nature to help support the disability. Mm-hmm. So we get the medicals together, we get the 2 reports together. And then what someone is going to need is they'll need a copy of their license or passport, some identification. They'll need a copy of their birth certificate. If they're married, their marriage certificate. Just copies. And then what they also will do is there's an authorization form so that if pensions wants to go get additional medical information, they have the authorization because they've signed the form that they can go get that. If somebody wants direct deposit, then they have to fill out a direct deposit form and then provide a check that has void written on it, mm-hmm. so that they can set it up for the direct deposit. So there's a package that must then get sent directly to pensions. So once all that information is acquired, we send that to pensions. Now, one of the things, and interesting, I'm right in the middle of having an argument with the city of Trenton today, is that sometimes the employer will be delinquent in submitting to pensions the specific payroll information, because in order for pensions to know what their financial obligations are going to be, certainly they have to know from the employer, or the employer has to certify as to what their what their earnings were. So you wind up through this process that my office will send the employer certification directly to the employer. Pensions will send the information directly to the employer. Yet pensions will not start the pension application moving forward until they receive the employer certification.
Okay.
And the problem there is that nobody tells you, hey, by the way, we're still missing this piece of information. They'll just let it sit there into the abyss. So, unless you stay on top of it, another reason to make sure that if you're going through this process that you contact somebody like my office